Good evening, everyone. I'm Chelsea Ohlemiller, and tonight I am so excited because Grief and Goodbyes is a special edition, and this is my followers panel. So tonight I have Kait and Tiffany and Carolyn, and we are tuning in from Indiana and Illinois and Pennsylvania. And so we are just super excited to chat tonight, a casual conversation on grief and hope and all of our stories about loss and just how we found encouragement in different places. And so I just would love to welcome Kait and Tiffany and Carolyn. Thank you so much for being here with me tonight.
Hi.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having us.
Yes. So I just want to tell everybody that is tuning in. Hi, Candace. We are going to be taking questions. So if you have anything that you would like to ask us or for us to talk about or anything, just put it in the comment section. We will make sure to be checking those tonight. And we're just going to start out with talking a little bit about we're all individuals who have lost our mothers. And Tiffany and Carolyn have actually lost both sets of parents, both parents. And so we are all here in kind of a collective grief experience. So I guess my first thing that I want to ask you is, I know Kait said she found me back in 2019, which is when my page was brand new. So Tiffany, I'll go to you next. When did you find my page and kind of how did you find my page?
Okay, so my mom passed away at the very beginning of the pandemic, actually right about a week after Illinois went into lockdown. So I had to have found you very close to that because it was, I was desperately seeking to connect with someone who could relate to what I was going through. So it was a divine intervention that brought your page to me for sure, because I honestly don't even know how to answer that question. You just appeared.
Oh.
It was as if I, whoever is responsible for that kind of thing knew that I needed you. So it was really close to her death that I found you, because I needed whatever you were putting out to the universe. I needed at that time. So.
Oh, well, I always say it's such a bittersweet thing because I'm so honored when people find me and they find my work because it pours straight from my heart. But I also know that it's because of that collective pain that we share. And so it's such a bittersweet experience, but there's no greater feeling than when someone says my words help them feel less alone or seen or understood. And so it's just, I can't even describe that feeling for you. So Carolyn, when did you find me?
Yeah, I have a similar situation. Lost my father in January of this year. And I too, it was like divine intervention. I believe it was a suggested page. I'm not even really sure. And just feeling so down and lonely and looking for someone somewhere to just feel like I had a place to belong, a place to purge myself of just, those low feelings. And yeah, you appeared. And I felt like there were so many times when I thought, she's talking to me.
Yeah.
I feel it. I experience it, and it's just amazing. And to see that there are other people who are experiencing the same things is just, it's a mystery, it's just, but so comforting. So very comforting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And do you guys feel that, so one of the things I'm most proud of on my page is not my writing and not what I put out there, but the community that has become of it. And so when I post something, the comment section, every day I schedule out hours, like actual hours that I go in, I respond to each person and I look at how people are interacting together. And I don't know if you guys feel like, can you guys feel that? Do you feel like all of these other people that are on this page, like we're all here together? Do you guys feel that community?
Yes, I do.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Kait, what about you?
So it just, you can interact with people who sometimes, like a lot of family, sometimes friends, it could be a closed off situation where it feels very open and safe 24/7. I never feel bad or guilty for saying some of those things that you just need to just get off of your chest.
Yeah.
So it's always a safe place with everybody.
Yeah. What do you guys, and we can kind of take turns, but I think in grief for me surprised me because there's certain things you hear about grief, like you never really get over it, or some people tell you you need to get over it, or, but I think some of the things that surprised me the most in grief was the fear and the jealousy that I would feel towards women who were doing things with their mom. And so I always ask people, because I would like to know each of your experiences and we can kind of take turns. But once grief entered your life, it obviously shattered, and reconstructed everything. But what was the thing that really surprised you the most in grief? If and some of you may not even have answers, but what is something that you would say really surprised you? It caught you off guard, you were just unprepared for it. And anybody can go first.
I mean, I think as silly as this sounds, the permanency of it.
Mm-hmm.
My mother was not well, so we had warning, if you will. And so when she actually passed, my immediate gut reaction was relief, but so quickly replaced by sadness, just that wow. The waiting for the phone call and the endless, text messages and updates and the constant driving back and forth and visiting her. It wore on all of us. And, you get to a point where you don't want to see your loved one suffer. But yet when she was actually gone, it was like, oh no,
Yep.
like, can I get a do-over? Like, she's never coming back. They are
Right.
never coming back. And as silly as that sounds, just knowing that this, you will live the rest of your days out like this. And so I also feel like that's why this page has been so important, because I am just searching for someone like me.
Mm-hmm.
And I found them
Aww.
in you and everyone here this evening.
Yeah.
And it's so comforting. You have no idea what you have brought to my life. And when you do respond, it's such a feeling. It's like, wow, I'm heard. She hears me. Other people hear me. So that's why I wanted to be here tonight. We hear you. We get you.
Yeah. Oh, that means so much, because I think because it is a page that, I'm pouring my heart out into the world. Mm-hmm. And then all of you are sharing your pictures and your stories. And I am extremely purposeful. And, when I'm like, a lot of times I won't be very lengthy in my comments, but if I'm saying hugs or like, I'm really lifting you, like a lot of times what I'll say is I'm lifting you in something, whether I feel like it's comfort, maybe you need comfort today, or if you need peace, or if you need love. And I literally am praying. And I say that in the sense of even people that, don't have faith, I'm lifting those things into the world, whether it be peace or hope for you. And I say your guys' names, and sometimes I may not say them correctly because, people have names like mine. It's Chelsea, but I am very intentional on taking the time each day to read what you guys are saying to me and to actually putting those thoughts, I do it intentionally because you guys are giving me your hearts, just like I'm giving mine to a lot of people. But, I really am honored when you do that. So Tiffany and Kait, do either of you have something that, really surprised you with grief?
I think my biggest surprise, having lost both of my parents, my dad passed away in his sleep suddenly at the age of 66. And we were so angry, like so angry. There was no goodbye. There was no warning. There was no, nothing. And we just felt robbed, completely and totally robbed. And my mom, like your mom, had been sick. I can't remember a time in my life where my mom hadn't been sick, and then progressively just got worse the last few years. But that losing my dad the way that we lost him, I felt this is awful. I wouldn't wish this on anyone. And then we went into the situation with my mom, and I thought, oh my gosh, I wouldn't wish this on anyone, because I got to see death in two very different variations, and both of them sucked. Yep. And you can't you can't describe it to anyone unless you've gone through it. But watching her deteriorate, because she was just a light. She was the most amazing light that I have ever seen in my entire life. And watching that light dim was something that completely altered the course of mine. And in really good ways, you know, like if we had more time, you see the cataclysmic event that has occurred because of that. But the really strange thing for me, or the surprise, was how vastly different the two were, and how vastly different the grief was for both of them, and still are. You know, last week was the 8-year anniversary of my father's passing, and I can still feel it in my bones. And they say that the tissue, you know, our tissues hold the issues, and our bodies will remember those moments leading up to these events forever. And they'll do things that we won't even remember that they're doing, out of sadness and grief and fear, and it's crazy how that happens. So that for me is probably the surprise, was, you know, and again, I don't wish anyone to have both variations of death, because they both really stink. But they are very, very different and very powerful in their own ways.
Right. Which is exactly why you bring up, I mean, grief cannot be compared. It cannot be judged against each other or compared, because they are so unique and different. The way you lose the person is different. The relationship that you held was different. What it looks like, what it feels like is so incredibly different. And so that's what I always try to also convey in my writing, is that I may have lost a mother and all of you have lost mothers, but all of our grief, we might have that solidified hurt and stories that kind of braid together, but they are so, so different. And so we have to remember that, because that also means that our healing is different, that our wellness to recover from this is different, and that everything we do is different. And that's okay, because it's such a unique experience. And so I'm glad that you mentioned that. I hate that you've had both, you know, and they're both equally awful. But I also think it's just such a crucial point to, you know, say that grief is just, you know, it cannot be compared, you know?
Yeah.
So Kait, do you have something that really surprised you in grief?
I would probably say, relationship wise, like the status of relationship with friends, family, myself. Again, I have a lot of friends who mostly have their moms, and I do not. So I do get jealous. I understand getting jealous of some of those experiences. I obviously do my best to work through those things, but this relationships of, I think everything has kind of shifted and changed for me. Like the person I was before, I'm different now in every way.
Yep. And you're going to be different forever. You know, you're going to constantly be shifting and changing. And, you know, I think I've written about that a lot too, is just, you are different. And I always tell people, you know, I think the first time somebody said, "Oh, wow, you're different." And I was like, yeah, let me be different. Like, this is who I am now. You need to let me be different, because I'm trying to figure out how to be the kind of me that doesn't have a mom. That's a different kind of me than before. Or, you know, I'm trying to be the me that's figuring out how to not have a father, and I'm figuring it out. Or, you know, whatever that case is. You know, I have friends in the writing community who have lost children, you know, and that changes them, you know. And so we have to learn to be this new person. And, you know, it's a constant transformation and journey. Yeah. So I'm going to read through the comments real quick, just to make sure that we're not missing anything. So, hey, Candace, I see you. Hey, Pat. She's coming in from Texas. Her hubby passed away 5 months ago after 60 years together. Oh my goodness, Pat, I'm just lifting you, and so much love and peace tonight. And I just want to tell you that, wow, I mean, 60 years together. I am too old, unfortunately, to be with my husband for 60 years. I hope that we can, but that's just such a beautiful love story. And I just think that should be celebrated. So Pat, I just want to say that, you know, we're thinking about you, and thank you for being here. Candace is from Oregon. I don't know. Can you guys see these comments on the side?
I can see some of them.
Okay, perfect. Good. So you guys can see exact. Okay. So,
Yeah.
Sorry if I'm scrolling too fast. Pat said, I am the admin for Group of Widows. If you're interested in joining, please let me know. Oh, Pat, that's great. So, wow, using your grief for purpose and for community. So, if there's anybody that's watching tonight, Pat's in the comments section. And so reach out to her because she has a group specifically for widows. And so Pat, thank you for, you know, creating that resource and community for grieving hearts. So hi, Rosa. I'm going to try to see if there's any questions. Sorry, I'm going through really fast. Becky. Hi. Becky said, of course, that's not a silly question. I think she was commenting, or I mean, this comment to Carolyn. So yep, nothing silly. Faith can move mountains. Oh yeah. So, hey, everybody. Hi, Becky, Candace, Pat, everybody. I think the next thing that I want to talk about a little bit with all of you is just, like you said, Kait, you kind of said, you know, you've changed, everything has changed. And so what is both, I guess it's a two-part question to everybody, is what have you found that has changed that you have decided to change because of grief? So I know for me, obviously grief shatters, you know, and you have to rebuild. And so when I started rebuilding, I started realizing that the relationships, time is fragile, and the relationships and the time that I have needs to be spent with people that really is beneficial to me mentally, spiritually, you know, physically, all of these things. And so I started realizing where I was wasting time and where I needed to prioritize time. So that's kind of something that came with grief. I said, okay, you know, I really need to be intentional about my relationships and value the time I have with the people. And so is there something that grief caused you to do, actually purposely with, you know, decided I'm going to change this in my life, or I'm going to do this, or I'm not going to do this anymore because it doesn't serve me well with what I'm in now? Does anybody have anything they can share on that?
I would definitely agree with you. I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Whoop! It went literally right out of my head.
No,
but I decided to take some mental health steps. One of the important conversations towards the end of my mom's life, it was a biggie for me, is that we're not superhuman. We're not superhuman, and that's okay. So it's okay to ask for help. It's okay if you just need to sit in that low moment, and then when you're ready to climb out of that low moment, we have our community here. We have friends, other family, and like you said as well, with the right people who are enriching your soul. I think I watched my mom, maybe for me, it felt like she was enriching people who just kind of drained her. And I don't want to spend my time doing some of those things. So I appreciate the good, and I appreciate, I think, some of the other qualities that we didn't really get to talk about fully, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Tiffany?
Well, the two, so with my dad, I had this impending sense of running out of time, which was, it was such a weird feeling. I don't have it right now, but I can still remember it. After he passed, I just I'm running out of time. I don't know how to explain it to people. So I started taking some trips that I had always wanted to take, because I thought, you know, we have no clue. Yep. It happened just like that. We don't know that we're going to wake up tomorrow. If there was something that I wanted to do, I made sure that I went out and did it. And I slowed that down a little bit after a few years. You can only do that so much.
Yeah.
And then with mom, again, there were so many differences, but throw a pandemic into losing a loved one. And when we walked out of that death, the whole world had changed.
Mhm.
So my landscape was already different, right? Like it was like somebody came and just took the watercolors and just washed them all into a big mess. And then I walked out into the life that I had before, and it was changed. So it was a real, like, massive eye opener that I needed to change. Something needed to look different because this all looked different. So I quit my job of 8 years on an absolute kind of a dream, kind of a whim. I went back to school during the pandemic to become a life coach because I want to help other people that are going through this, and I want to help them learn that, yes, it is, we are different. We are never going to be the same people we were before, but who do you want to be after? And in that transition between losing her and this realization, that all just like came to fruition. It was just like, everything needs to change. Now's a real good time to just absolutely wipe the slate clean and become a different person entirely. So I changed so much, right? Like the grief, in both sets of grief, I did two completely different things. I kind of lived out some dreams and took some trips that I wanted to take. And then this just altered the course of my career and my life completely. So for me, those would be the changes that happened.
Yeah. I love, though, how you describe it as, this watercolor painting that somebody has just washed away, because that's exactly, that describes it perfectly. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but oh my gosh, that is, it's like you had this, beautiful picture and somebody's just completely smeared it and then handed you a different set of paints and said, paint something else now because this one's gone. That's, if you see me taking notes, it's because I'm writing down what you guys say, because I've inspired by it, because that's just, that's a great way to describe it to somebody, because I've also found in grief that if you can give them a picture or a metaphor so that it can really sink in, it helps rather than just random words sometimes, because, like you guys know, until you really grieve, you don't really get it, until you're sitting in the middle of it, you don't get it.
Yeah.
So, Carolyn, what about you?
Yeah, I'll just, like what you just said, you don't know until you're there. And I think what I've purposefully done or tried to do is, for those who are going through difficult times or who are grieving or preparing for the loss of someone, I look at those people so differently than I did before. I would say, like, I'm so sorry, or I'd make a meal, or I would send a card, but it really was superficial in a way. And now I know what it's like on the other side, and it wasn't enough.
Yep.
And I want to make it right, so,
which is beautiful, because you're
try now to be, purposeful. And, it's just being there, which I know you've talked about before. You just sit with a person and whatever they need. It's not just a card, or because after someone dies, everyone calls, everyone comes by, everyone makes a meal, everyone, and then it just kind of drops off.
Yep, it's gone.
And it's almost afterwards that you need these people. And, if they say, oh, call me if you need anything, well, you feel silly. Hi, I just want to sit on the phone. Don't really know what to say. I would like to cry for a half hour.
Right, exactly.
Is that okay?
Yeah, I think, you bring up such a great point too, is that, everybody comes right at the beginning. Yeah. And then everybody goes back to their life. And, even this summer we had a death in our family. My children's great grandmother passed away. And so we went and visited great grandpa, and he said, the hardest part now is everybody's back to life. He's obviously retired, he's older. And he said, the hardest part right now is everybody went back to school, to work, to their lives. And now I'm lonelier than ever. He's like, I feel this. My wife is gone, and it hits you, and you want to, so we did call and check up and try to visit, but he's exactly right though. You do get back to life and get back to those things. And so, for those people that have someone in their lives that are grieving, it's so important to check up on them at month 1 and 2 and 3, because like you said, those are the vulnerable months. It's when you can't run anymore. You can't fill it with busyness. You're just sitting in this grief, you know? So yeah, absolutely. And I also think that, like you said, you mentioned another thing that's important, and that's when somebody passes away, oftentimes before my mother's death, I feel like I was going through the steps. I was going to the funeral. I was making the food. I was doing the card. I was buying the gift. But I wasn't really being there like I am now, you know?
I think I needed to be in that state, though, in order to get through those things.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. Exactly. Can I chime in here over at this Megan?
Absolutely. I haven't been catching up. Sorry, I was.
No, you're fine.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Okay, Megan, I lost my mom to cancer as well, and we equally had about 3.5 years with her. So my heart feels your heart, and I can say that throughout time, I have learned that your sister will probably be somebody that you will want to hold close. You guys will. I have a sister and I have a brother, and without them, I have relied on them. I'm very thankful that our relationship has continued to grow, and I wouldn't have expected one of our relationships. So it's been fun to continue to grow with each other, even though we're missing a large part of the foundation. You know, it was supposed to be the 4 of us, and now it's only the 3 of us, and that sucks. But my heart is with you as you were writing this. I wanted to send you some love.
Oh, yeah, that's so important. And also, you know, in that we find that relationships and roles change, and we can all talk about that. Even is that, you know, you don't lose the role of a daughter, but when your mother is gone and you have a sister, you have to take on a new role, you know, and you're still sister, but you I'm the older one. So I feel like I have, not that I have to, but I have to, for my mother, do certain things for my sister now, or for my dad, or for my whoever, you know, my children. And so I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but you know, roles within families significantly change. If your mother or father were the tradition holders for holidays, that changes. Somebody's role has to change. And sometimes they dismantle completely. And other times someone picks up the, you know, wand and says, here's what we're going to do. But not every family has that. So I don't know. We can speak on that a little bit. Have you guys noticed roles shifting and changing? And
yeah, we're still trying to find our way. We fall under the dismantle category.
Yeah.
It's tough. You know, I kind of took my dad under my wing when mom died and made a promise that I'd take care of him. Unfortunately, I only had 15 months to do it. I didn't know that at the time. So I wished I had more time, but yeah, it was just like, wow, what do I do now? So holidays for me are difficult. They're just, I go through the motions. I haven't quite found my footing with that yet.
Yep.
So I can't speak about carrying on traditions. I've just sort of, they're very upsetting for me still.
Yep.
So I just kind of muddle through the day, and, you know, not saying it'll be that way forever, but for now, that's what I need to do. So.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Tiffany, what about you?
I think that's an evolution, you know, like it's going to constantly change. And I think even with the way things are like today, just in the world, we're losing traditions at rapid rates, just, you know, outside of the norm, holidays and stuff like that. It's just, the world is moving so fast. So I have a brother and a sister, an older sister, and my brother is younger. So he actually lives in North Carolina. So logistically, we're not close enough to, like, you know, spend a lot of time together. We've been out there a couple of times, but.
Oh, hang on. I don't know what happened. I don't know
Okay.
It's okay.
Okay.
I think
I don't know what's happening. Sorry, guys. Hang on.
Oh gosh.
Let's see. I think it might be Carolyn. Let's see. I muted Carolyn just because I think it's coming from her computer. Carolyn, can you hear us? Okay. Let me see. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Is it still echoing for you guys?
no.
It's stopped. Now we can't hear her.
Okay.
See, technology is moving so fast.
Let's see. Hang on. Let me write technical difficulties. Okay. Did it stop?
So far, yeah.
Let me see here. Okay. Maybe we're back.
Oh
I don't know
no.
what it's doing. Sorry, guys. Let's see. I don't know what's going on.
Can she hop out and hop back in?
Yeah, actually, Carolyn, why don't you hop off and hop back in? Okay, so we'll keep talking while she's figuring that out. I don't know, but it just started like.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry
Like,
guys.
just like grief, you never know what's going to happen or when or how loud it's going to be or what it's going to sound like, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So
Yes, sometimes it's like a bullhorn, like.
yeah, exactly. Anyway,
Yes.
I think we're evolving. My family's evolving. I think we're still like where Carolyn's at, where it's like the traditions feel awkward and strange, and we're just trying to figure out what that looks like, now. And even though it's been a little while for my dad, mom was kind of the icing on the cake, right? It's like, I think if we were to get together and do the things that we always did before, it would just be that really horrible reminder that we're orphans. And that's a word I don't throw around very lightly, but it's definitely what it feels like. And I think for me, I'm in a place now where I choose what makes me feel good, not what makes me feel bad. So I have to be very conscious about what that thing might be and be honest with the people, like my aunts and uncles, for example. If I can't come to Thanksgiving, it's not because I don't love you. It's because I just don't want to be in this environment without my parents. And that needs to be good enough. And it has been, we're very fortunate that they understand that. I know it makes them feel bad, but it's the truth. And to be honest with people is to live in our integrity. And I think grief can sometimes make us be dishonest with people, which only hurts us worse, right, in the long run. So if we don't honor that feeling, if this feels good, I'll do it. If this doesn't feel good, I'm not going to do it. It just makes it harder for us to process this. So that's how it is for me.
Relatable. Relatable.
Yep. Yeah, I think you say it perfectly, because you really, in grief, like your natural reaction for a lot of people is to hide it or to lie, like not necessarily lie, but just sugarcoat it. I'm fine. I'm okay. I'll be okay. All these things. But really, we have to show up authentically and advocate for ourselves. Actually, I'm really hurting today, or I'm cloudy headed today because I can't get past this, or whatever it is that you need. You really have to advocate for yourself, because nobody can do it for you. Because grief isn't like, I have a headache and need Tylenol. Grief is, oh, today it might be physically hurting me, or today it might be mentally hurting me. And unless you are telling people and advocating for yourself, nobody can help you. And even when you do advocate for yourself, it's hard for people to help you. Pain is really uncomfortable. And I've learned that people don't like to be uncomfortable. And so I think that's why this community is so beautiful, because we all kind of just sit together in this uncomfortable space and say, it's okay. It's okay. Just show up. Bring it all. Bring your baggage, bring your brokenness, bring each piece that you have, and we can all just sit together until we can figure out how to pick it up again,
Right.
Yeah. So and you cannot, let me preface this question by saying you cannot say my page. You can't say my writing. So what is something that in your grief journey has either provided hope or inspiration or comfort to you, that you would like to share with everybody that's watching? Something that they could, potentially use as a resource, or just something that might provide hope or inspiration?
I think for me, writing was my outlet. And there was a period for both of them. I write my best stuff when I'm really, really sad. And I can say that because I truly believe that, because that's when a lot of what I'm really feeling is able to come out. And the moment I decided to start sharing that with people, and I didn't care, this was the difference. If I didn't care if one person read it or 100 people read it, if it made someone else feel like they weren't alone, then not only did it help me, but it healed me. So I started I started blogging, and I started just putting it out there, and then, throwing it up on my page, my personal Facebook page. I wrote another blog today, and if people went and read it, that was great. And if they didn't, that was great too, because it gave me my outlet. It gave me a place to put this that allowed me to really be my authentic self. And so for me, it is writing. And I stress journaling and writing and putting words down, or, creative outlets for the grief is so important, because they are very beautiful. The thing that connects the three of us right now, and everyone on the side commenting, is that this horrible, horrible thing that happened to us is also one of our greatest strengths, because we've survived it, and because we can help other people get through it, and because we can speak to it. And that fear of not sharing is very powerful, because I went through that too. Like, what if people think I'm writing too much about how sad I am? And then the next day it was, I don't really care.
Yep.
Because this is what I need to do to get through this.
Yeah.
And like I said, when you can do it knowing that if you just help one human being relate and know that they're not alone, I think that it's worth it. So
yeah,
my writing would be how I got through it.
Perfect. Kait, what about you?
For me, it probably would be focusing on me and who I went. So I started therapy. I started just kind of mental health. I also kind of dive into those subtle secret messages that I think are left from beyond the universe, from her, just to me, just I was kind of having a moment. I was kind of thinking of my brother. He sent me a message that a special song came on. 5 seconds later, song came on for me. And I like to dive into those very special. It seems nutty, but I know it's not nutty. It's not nutty. So for me, it's diving into some of that unknown, or that looks different, but that's my mom,
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And I love that just even in this group where there's different things, whether it's writing or just, looking for those signs or things that, those little messages, everything is so different. And so, hey, Carolyn, welcome back.
Hey, sorry, guys.
No, it's fine. So
technical difficulties.
It's perfect timing because it's your turn. So I asked them, and you cannot say my page or my writing, but what is something that you've found has really provided you either comfort or inspiration or hope inside of your grief journey that you would like to share with others who might need something too?
Okay, since I can't say your page, I really feel that I do find some comfort now, not all the time, but I do feel comfort in knowing that my parents are my guardian angels and they're watching over me. And so somehow I feel almost more protected with them on the other side, if you will. And it can be very comforting at times. It's so strange. Like, it can range, as you all know, from feeling lonely then to feeling protected, but that's grief.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And now that you've mentioned that, that you kind of feel hopeful that they're, together and kind of watching over you. I guess that kind of inspired me, because for me, my dad's still alive. So my mom is with her parents, or at least that's what I'm hopeful of. But she does show up for me in beautiful ways, which is kind of what Kait and Carolyn were saying. And so I was wondering, a lot of people talk about signs, and I will tell you, I never paid attention to cardinals until my mom passed away, and they have followed us. I mean,
Did everybody lose her?
Yes.
I'm still here. Oh, yeah, she's stuck. Ooh.
Chelsea, you're frozen.
I am?
Oh,
you're
not
back.
anymore.
Okay.
No.
So anyways, back to my cardinal story. Sorry. So basically, I was deep in grief. It was a couple months after my mom passed away, and I was sitting in the living room, and I was just crying. I mean, I was having a bad day. I couldn't mother right then. I was just deep.
My goodness. Oh, yeah.
All of a sudden, boom, boom on the window, and a cardinal came and pecked at the window, like pecked on the window. And I was like, what? And it scared me. So I was like, and I looked over, and my husband comes in, and he was like, this is a sign. Like, this, do you see what is happening? She's saying, just calm down. And, some people don't believe in signs, and I'm not even for sure I did until that moment, because I was like, okay, like, I've never seen a bird come and peck at our window, let alone a cardinal. And I just felt like, okay. And ever since then, I started seeing cardinals when I would need them. And so what signs, or do you believe in signs, or what's the, some people have butterflies or pennies. So what are yours?
All of them.
I like that. You're like, any way that I can think she's showing up.
All the time. Coincidence, random, like even as far as like just word synchronicities, like of random people, numbers, feathers.
Yeah. I love that. What about you guys, Tiffany and Carolyn?
I have a fantastic sign that is almost unbelievable. It's kind of woo-woo, but I'm going to share it with you guys anyway. About 30 minutes before my mom took her last breath, my sister hollered at me, and she was standing at my mom's sliding glass doors. And my mom used to feed the birds and the squirrels and, random creatures that would probably more than birds and squirrels that came to her yard, but she was asleep by the time the rest of them showed up. But she looked out, and the whole yard was moving. It was like all of God's woodland creatures had showed up. There were bunnies, and there were squirrels, and there were birds, and the yard was full. The ground was moving. It was the most insane display I've ever seen in my life. And within 30 minutes, she took her last breath. That has happened 2 times since she passed away in my own yard, where I'll look out and there'll be just like the entire neighborhood, squirrels and bunnies and birds have showed up, and they're all just hanging out, and they're there for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and then they take off and they're gone, and it never happens again.
That's a sign.
Whether I believe in my heart it's her, I believe that was what was happening. Like they were getting ready for her, Rita's going home. And when it happens now, it is the most beautiful, warm embrace that I have ever felt from not being physically embraced. That I can explain to anyone in my whole entire life. It's a phenomenon that's just, it's amazing. But I agree. I
have to
see her in people's faces. Oh, sorry.
What is your mother's name? What was your
Rita?
Which is my mother's name.
Yeah.
See?
Did you know that?
Yes, I did.
Oh my God. I just
Yeah.
love that. That's not like, I never, ever, ever heard my mother's name ever. Like, I don't know, in Indiana, I just never heard it. Like, she was the only Rita. Like, I just, oh, that's
It's not popular.
Supposed to have this panel.
Yeah, you were meant to be here for sure.
Absolutely.
Gosh. Wow. You
Yeah.
said that, and I kind of like felt, I
Goosies.
was like, did she just say Rita? Oh, that's so beautiful. I love that. Sorry, I couldn't, I had to
That's
stop it
okay.
because I was like, I think she just said my mother's name. Oh, sorry, I'm getting tearful. Woo. So, Carolyn, sorry, I'm such an emotional person. Carolyn, what about you?
Aside from cardinals, sometimes pennies, but more often than not now, hearts. And in every shape and form you could possibly imagine. So I've taken to getting my phone and taking pictures of them when I see them. And I have seen them from everything from people giving me things that don't know that that's a sign. Like I was given a glass heart from someone prior to my mom's passing, and I just put it aside and didn't think much of it. And it was almost like I think my mother was using the heart to get to me because she knew that that was given to me. So I have a picture, I'm not kidding, of a potato chip that is a full-on heart. Hair ties at work sometimes on the floor. The best one though was I put face cream on in the evening. I opened the jar and I looked inside, and the lotion was a heart.
Oh my goodness.
And that one I said, okay.
Yep, I get it.
I get it. You're here. And what a beautiful way, a simple, way to show that, she's there, she's with me. And, it doesn't, I think what the thing is it doesn't matter if it's real per se. What it is to you is what's important. So I really believe if you feel like you saw something, or you feel like you heard something, or you sense something. I sense a lot of things in my kitchen, which is where my mother spent a lot of her time in the house I grew up in. But when I'm in my kitchen, it's almost like my mother is there. And I feel like if you feel it, it's happening. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're not going crazy.
You're exactly
not.
right.
Yeah.
And if it comforts you,
yes,
in this moment,
embrace it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Dreams are another huge one. I've had many, many dreams of both my parents looking healthy and smiling. And right after my mom passed, I dreamt she literally came out of nowhere. She floated into my dream. And she was wearing the outfit we buried her in, and she looked beautiful.
Oh.
And I woke up and I was like, wow, okay, you made it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's real. It's so real.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just, I've written about this too, but I think that of course, if no matter what you believe, no matter your faith, I think everybody can agree that mothers and even fathers love us so beautifully and so uniquely, that just that selfless, love. And I think that of course they would show up for you beyond their last breath. Like it's no doubt, like they never stop showing up for us in life.
Right.
They will not stop showing up for us in death, period. Whether that's a penny or just a feeling, or your yard looking like Snow White and, all of the woodland creatures, like whatever it is, of course they're going to show up for you. All you have to do is be willing enough and have an open heart to just embrace it.
Yes.
Because whatever faith you are, like, of course your parents are going to show up for you beautifully. So, but I am so sorry. I just realized we went way over on time. I'm just having so much fun with all of you. So I guess we will end on this. I will ask you one last question. And so for everybody that is watching, if you know, obviously the people that are watching are in some kind of state of grief, whether it's fresh or whether it's 15 years down the path. And so if you were to tell somebody right now, you know, that feels stuck in grief or buried in grief or, you know, just desensitized by grief or anything, you know, name an awful adjective that just, you know, has you paralyzed and in this grief and heartbreak. And so what would be, if you had like one sentence or one motto, you know, what would you say to that person?
Allow yourself to grieve. Give yourself the room to be where you are, when you are, how you want to be. Like you always say, grief is unique and it's very personal, and whatever it is and wherever it takes you, as messy as it can be, it's okay. And that's what grief is. I'm reminded of that many times. When I feel like everything's spiraling out, people say that's grief.
Yep. Yeah.
So just be kind to yourself and reach out to those who want to help you. And if you need to seek, you know, professional help, don't be ashamed.
Absolutely.
Don't be ashamed.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Who wants to go next? Tiffany or Kait?
I'll go. If you're in that if you're in that weepy stage still, take small bites. For me, I had a hard time just like trying to figure out how to cry and eat, you know, like you have to do both. They're both like essential during that time. So for me, like just take small bites is where we're gonna go.
Yeah. Which is really a life motto. Like
it really is
everything, you know. Like take small bites going back to work or back to your relationship.
No, actually, you're right. Absolutely, 100%. So there we go.
Yeah, I think that's great. Yeah. Tiffany, what about you?
Turtle steps, which is the same thing as small bites.
Yeah.
And to piggyback everything that everyone else said, it requires time, and no one does it in the exact same time.
Mm-hmm.
Some people do it sooner, some people it takes longer. It never ends. So to put a time limit on it is really detrimental to yourself and everyone else. But if the only thing you can accomplish that day is to take a shower, that's good enough. If the only thing you can accomplish that day is to get up and eat something at least once, that's enough. Yep. It's we keep challenging ourselves to do more and be more and get through this and get up and go do these 20 things that have to be done. And if you really don't feel like doing it, don't. Yep. And you will find people like you have here that understand exactly what you're going through. And sometimes they miraculously show up and you don't know why, and they just appear, and it's beautiful divine intervention.
True.
And sometimes you have to go seek them out a little bit, but grief will actually, you know, like as you all will attest to, it changes your relationships. And unless people have experienced it, there are some people that are not going to come along with you on your grief journey. And Absolutely. You need to be okay with letting that go.
Yeah.
Yep.
That would be what I would suggest. That would be my suggestion and my advice.
Yep. Absolutely. Just like there are pieces of your life that you will never get back, there are also people in your life that will drift off. And, you know, I wrote about that too. You know, I said, what if they don't come along? I don't know if you guys read that piece of mine, but I was worried just like you know, I thought, what if these people don't come along on my journey? And I had to realize, oh, some won't, some didn't. But most of them did. And honestly, the ones that stayed, were there for a reason. And the ones that didn't, maybe one day they'll come back and maybe they won't. And that's okay, because my life is, you know, a lot different than it was before. And so I agree. All of those pieces of wisdom and hope are definitely mimicked by me, because I feel all of those. So but anyways, I can't believe that we've been doing this for almost an hour. I'm so sorry. I told all my ladies, I was like, we'll do this for 30 minutes, but you know, we just keep on talking. So I just want to
All
share
good.
with everybody. I'm so honored to be speaking with Caitlin and Tiffany and Carolyn tonight. And also, I will have Tiffany put her blog and social media in the comment section, if you don't mind, Tiffany. And in that way, if people want to follow your work, you can. And you don't even have to do it now. You can do it once we log off. But sometime tonight,
Okay.
if you guys want to follow her, she can put that in there. And then for everybody else, I will just say that I have loved this panel and I want to do it again. So I have to just keep your guys' emails. And then if anybody is watching this and thinking, well, I want to go on with Chelsea and I want to be on a panel, sign up.
Becky was just asking in the comments.
Oh, perfect. Yes. Okay. So how can you be Becky? Here's how. You're going to, I'm going to do one time a month, hopefully, and maybe more if everybody's wanting it. But basically sign up for my email list. That's the only way that you can sign up to be on this panel is you have to be an email subscriber, and I will send out a Google form and it will say when my next panel will be and if you're available on that date and have some quick information. And so it's super easy. I think what maybe took you guys 1 or 2 minutes to fill it out. So anyways, so that's how you do it. So subscribe to my email, and I would love to do this again. And also thank you everybody to watching, and anybody that's on my page. Please know that it is just as much for all of you as it is for me. Like Tiffany was saying, she writes to, heal and recover and kind of replenish. And that's exactly why I do it. And so it's just an added benefit when I can also be, writing for therapeutic reasons and then have this community of people that says, yes, us too. And so I just thank everybody for being here, especially Kait and Tiffany and Carolyn. And I hope everybody has a great night and we can all do this again. So
Yay!
bye, everybody.
So
Thanks,
much.
everybody.
Thank you so much.